Welcome to Forensic Science Sunday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. Hi Lucy, how are you? Lucy's here. Today's video will be featuring the Yukon Bee Exotic Flavors palette. I'm so excited. This has been on my wish list for a minute, and one of you amazing, thoughtful subscribers and just a human being in general for sending me anything sent this over to me, and I'm so excited. I just want to say thank you. They came with this set of purple makeup brushes, which is so cute. I'm gonna try to use some of these today. I'm not promising anything. They also sent me these makeup trays, which, girl, you know I need these. I need these so bad. I feel like it's my birthday and I'm like showing off all of my gifts to my cousins. They also got me this storage organizer for all of my palettes, which I have a lot of palettes, so I can never have too many of those. Thank you again so much to the subscriber who sent me these gifts. You don't know how much it means to me and how much it really does help me and my channel and help support me. And I also just want to say thank you to those of you who have ever donated a single cent to me, because that still is like mind-blowingly wild. I can't believe it. All the other items in this video that I'm going to be using will be linked in the description below. Please read the disclaimer. I am not a professional forensic pathologist. I am not a professional makeup artist. I'm just the average girl at home like you, playing in my makeup. Sometimes I do my nails, which I have a nail look coming for you guys soon. This one right here. While I talk about a true crime case. So if that's something that you are into, then you are more than welcome to stick around and hit the subscribe button. Also, quick reminder, the comment section is a privilege. Don't fuck it up. Now let's get into today's case. Ciao. Today I am in a mood. I am in a mood, girl. So this all takes place in the year 1986 in Bakersfield, California, which is, I don't know how far that is from me, but it's not too far from me. It was just a normal, regular day, as it always starts. A group of hikers were walking along the Arvid Edison Canal. So the hikers were hiking along like hikers do, when they stumbled across a decomposed body floating in the canal. Horrified, they got in touch with police and reported what they had just seen. Supposed to be sad and said, "Oh my God, I have so many blackheads on my chin and on my nose. Oh my God, that is crazy." Police arrived on the scene and they removed the body from the stream. The body was found clothed, and immediately they were able to tell that the victim was a young female. The lead investigator theorized that the victim's body was most likely dumped in a different location upstream and then had floated downstream to where the body was discovered. The body was sent to the coroner's office for a medical examination. Medical examiners were able to tell that the female body had been in the water for at least several days. Now, because the body had been in the water for so long, any trace evidence that they would have been able to collect from the body had been washed away. All they had was her clothing. 2 bullets were recovered from her chest wall and spine. Time for foundation. Let me get my handy dandy mixer. Ooh, girl, I'm a professional now, girl. I'm a professional. I'm gonna be mixing up like professional, girl. Ooh, I'm excited. Thank you. Now, 2 bullets were recovered from her chest wall and spine, but there was only 1 entry and exit wound, which also led investigators to theorize that it was most likely a close range shot, similar to execution style. This man is out here executing people. Now, they weren't sure what happened to the victim, but one thing was clear: this was no accident. It was an act of foul play, and the coroner ruled her death a homicide. Now, the recovered bullets, they were sent to forensic ballistic experts. Forensic ballistic experts make microscopic comparisons between the gun barrel flaws and the bullets found at the crime scene. They analyze bullet shots, angles, and gunpowder to determine their source. In this case, they found that the bullets were from a .38 caliber pistol. Now, although they had this information, investigators still didn't know who the victim was. And because the body was so badly decomposed, it was difficult, well, actually damn near impossible for them to get any sort of facial recognition to ID her with. So they had to heavily rely on the victim's fingerprints. They used fingerprint powder and dusted for prints. Fingerprint powders are fine powders that are used in conjunction with fingerprint brushes by forensic scientists to search for and enhance latent or invisible fingerprints to be used for identification. This method involves the adherence of powder particles to the moisture and sweat secretions deposited onto surfaces by raised ridges on fingerprints, palms, or the soles of the feet that are used to grip, called friction ridges. So if you were ever wondering, for whatever reason, what your fingerprints are for, they're friction ridges. They're designed for you to be able to grip things with, which is pretty cool. I think that's very scientific and very cool to know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a dork like that, but I think that's pretty cool. The prints were compared to millions of prints on file at the California State Database, and right away they got a hit. The body was identified as 21-year-old Kay Bradley. I do want to let you guys know that the victim's name was changed. Oftentimes when there is a retelling of the story on a TV show or something like that, the victim's family will ask that they change the victim's name to protect the family's identity, and that is what happened in this case. However, this information has since been released and is relatively easy to find. If you go to Google and you type in Kay Bradley, all of the articles that are linked to the Kay Bradley name has her real identity and her real name out there. So I'm just letting you guys know it's not hidden anymore. But for the sake of this video and to respect the original request of the family, I'm going to be using her fake name. Investigators ran a background check and they discovered that Kay was originally from Los Angeles, California. She was a California native. She was born and raised here, grew up here her whole life. She was an excellent student, earning A's in most of her classes, so pretty much a straight A student. Kay enjoyed what's wrong with my mouth? Kay enjoyed horseback riding and dance, which she became quite accomplished at. She would compete and win medals for horseback riding and dance. She was a very, very artistic person. Her family would describe her as very ambitious, saying that she would do anything she set her mind to. And they said that she was a very well-behaved child. She rarely ever got into any trouble or was grounded or anything like that. Basically, she was the perfect daughter and her parents were very proud of her. It appeared like she was destined for success until shortly after high school when Kay met a new group of friends. This group of friends introduced Kay to a lot of things that Kay never did before, and one of those things being drugs. Kay's new group of friends were some very unsavory characters, to say the least, and she got sucked into this lifestyle, this way of living. You know, Kay at that point had grown up as a very clean-cut, good, well-behaved kid who was a student, and she did everything straight all of her life. And now she was introduced to this new way of living that was probably really exciting to her, to be honest, at that time. And she got sucked into this lifestyle, and not too long after that, Kay developed a drug addiction. As you can imagine, her parents were very, very disappointed. They did not expect Kay, of all people, to become a drug addict and to be living this type of lifestyle. And they just didn't know what to do, what was the right thing. They wanted to help Kay, but they also didn't condone the way that she was living. To support her drug addiction, Kay started prostituting. This is how she would make her money to be able to pay for all the drugs. I guess once you're in that place, you are willing to do whatever it takes to get that drugs. I would rather say sex worker, but ultimately she was a sex worker, which I don't sex shame sex workers, you know. Now, with further investigation, police did find that she had somewhat of a record. She had been arrested for prostitution before in the past. So they went to go question other prostitutes in the area, but all of them denied seeing Kay around the time that she went missing. So nobody was speaking. Either they didn't see her or they weren't speaking. Maybe they don't want to get in trouble, I don't know. Several months would go by with no new information and no new leads in the case, and Kay's case was growing cold. Until a year later, when a group of small game hunters were hunting for rabbits near the canal. Child, why you out there hunting for rabbits? So they were out hunting, They were out hunting for rabbits when they made a gruesome discovery. The body of a young pregnant female was found floating in the canal. The same damn canal. Okay, y'all. We won't be taking any more walks and trips out to the canal, I tell you that. Once again, there was no identification found on the body. The victim had been shot 3 times with a .38 caliber pistol, just like Kay. However, the victim was a bit younger. She was a teenager. Crime scene investigators found blood on the curb of the road next to the canal. They believed that this was most likely where the crime had taken place. Based on the evidence at the crime scene, they believed that the victim was most likely shot there, dragged, and then pushed into the canal. Forensic crime scene investigators also found 3 different shoe prints in the dirt around the crime scene. They were able to identify the shoes as Adidas brand running shoes. Next, a forensics ballistics expert analyzed the bullets. He paid particularly close attention to the lands and grooves created when a gun is shot and the bullet passes through the barrel. Each marking is unique to the type of gun it came from. Then he compared the bullets to the bullets in the Kay Bradley case, and they matched. The bullets came from a Colt .38 caliber handgun. Now, the lead investigator on this case found it particularly interesting because he owned the same handgun. With further investigation, they found that the ammunition used was different than the usual ammunition used in a .38 caliber handgun. They were of lighter weight, a special bullet that only law enforcement officers used. Now, as you can imagine, alarm bells start going off in investigators' head, because why would this guy, the perpetrator, have these type of bullets unless he was in law enforcement? Also, they hadn't recovered a murder weapon. So was it possible that they hadn't found the murder weapon because the person who had done this was a law enforcement officer and was still carrying the weapon on them? Could he be that stupid? I don't know. Maybe he was. I know they was looking at each other like, do you have a .38 caliber pistol? Investigators needed to identify the body, so they searched the missing persons database to see if there was anyone who fit her description. Now, based on the clothes that the victim was found in, they believed that she too was a prostitute. I don't know how they was able to tell that, make that determination, because just because she's wearing a certain outfit doesn't mean she's a prostitute, but okay. And so they took to the streets with her photo, questioning anyone in the area that may have seen this girl or could have recognized her or know who she is. Luckily, on the first day, another prostitute came forward and told police that she did in fact know the girl, that they had worked together before on Union Avenue. Now, Union Avenue was the same street that Kay also worked on. So, starting to piece things together. Sounds like we got a little bit of a serial killer on our hands, guys. The woman identified the girl as 15-year-old Tracy Clark. Just 15. Oh my God, that's crazy. It's so crazy. Now, Tracy, even though she was only 15, she looked well above her age, girl. She looked like she was about 40 years old, they say. Some say it was the lifestyle that aged her, but, you know, I don't know. Some people just look a lot older than they are. And, you know, I look a lot younger than I am, so sometimes it's just genes. I'm pretty sure her lifestyle did have something to do with it when you're taking drugs and things like that, and you're living a pretty rough lifestyle in your body. It has to take somewhat of a toll. With further investigation, they discovered that she was a runaway from Seattle, Washington, and she had been working as a prostitute to survive. Somehow she had gotten pregnant. I mean, somehow, we all know how, but you know. The woman claimed to have last seen Tracy getting into a light-colored pickup truck with a camper topper and bubble windows on the sides. I mean, that was pretty descriptive. Good on her for remembering that. She presumed that it was a customer that Tracy had gone with, and that was the last time she had saw her. But there were hundreds of these types of pickup trucks in the area. How would police narrow it down? Now it's time to go into the palette. Oh my God, I don't think I'm gonna need another color in my collection in life. But anyway, back to the story. At this point, the best clue that they had was the gun, and they knew it was from law enforcement, so they opened a private investigation into their own men. This is getting interesting, guys. And they discovered that one of their colleagues had a vehicle matching that description. The vehicle belonged to Sheriff's Deputy Dave Rogers. Pick his ass up, y'all. Kind of pick his ass up. Now, Dave, he was former partners with one of the lead investigators on, I think it was Tracy's case. They had worked together for about 2 to 3 years. There was a lead investigator on Kay's case, and then there was another lead investigator on Tracy's case, and then they came together and started working on the 2 girls' cases together. Dave was an 11-year veteran. He was highly regarded by his peers. Everyone on the force that knew Dave loved him, and he was highly respected. Investigators needed to be sure that Dave's truck was the truck that the woman said she saw picking up Tracy the night of her murder. So investigators came up with a plan. They picked the woman up and they drove her around town, showing her various different vehicles that were similar to the one she had described. But she didn't point any of them out until they pulled past Deputy Dave's house. His truck was parked out in front. And according to investigators, the woman starts to freak out and she starts screaming and pointing at Deputy Dave's truck saying, "That's it, that's it, that's the one. Go arrest him, go arrest him." And so police are like, "Are you sure that that's the truck?" And she's like, "I'm positive that that's the truck." That was the truck she saw that night. Deputy Dave, what you doing? What you doing? So they brought Deputy Dave in for questioning, and he denied knowing Tracy or having anything to do with the 2 murders. And when they checked the service weapon that he was carrying, it wasn't a .38 caliber pistol. He was carrying a Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum, very different from the murder weapon. And they didn't find any proof that he ever owned a .38 caliber pistol. So at this point, it was purely speculation. They went back to the witness and they wanted to see if she could identify Dave out of a lineup. Investigators laid out photos of 6 different men in front of her. And it didn't take her long before she pointed at one of the photos and said, "That's the guy that picked up Tracy." Now they were sure this was their guy. So they bring Dave in for questioning a second time. Once again, he denies knowing Tracy or having anything to do with the 2 murders. And then he does something that investigators found rather bizarre. During the interrogation, he is so comfortable with the interrogation, I guess because his friends were the ones interrogating him, they're his cop friends. He was so comfortable that this man put his feet on the table. He sat up and put both of his legs on put his feet on the interrogation table. This would be his biggest mistake, because as soon as he did that, the lead investigator on Tracy's case noticed the bottom of his shoes. And he thought to himself, that looks a lot like the shoe print we collected from the crime scene, from Tracy's crime scene. And you got the audacity to put your feet on the table. Ugh. There was a branding in the bottom middle part of the shoe that said Adidas. Adidas. Which stands for, in this case, I did this. I mean, can we get any more red flags and pointers towards this guy? He did it. They were just thinking, was he really that stupid to wear the same shoes from the crime scene into his interrogation? They just couldn't get over it because they're like, he's a police officer. why did he do that? You know, a stupid mistake. This is what happens when criminals get too comfortable and they start to make mistakes. And this would be a huge one, dude. Dave Rogers' shoes was sent to forensics lab for testing. Now, forensic scientists used a combination of fingerprint powder, Comet cleaner. Do you guys remember that? I remember Comet cleaner. My grandma and my mom used to use that Comet powder on the floor. So they used this fingerprint powder and Comet cleaner along with clay. Once they had their clay concoction, they pressed Dave's shoe into the powders and they got their foot impression. Next, they compared that foot impression to the footprint found at Tracy Clark's crime scene. And what do you know? They matched. It was an identical match. Now, even with all of this, prosecutors still felt like they needed more to get a solid conviction. They didn't want to just go in there empty-handed. They felt like if they were going to get this guy, they really wanted to nail him because he was one of their own. And they just felt betrayed, you know? Because he was a police officer, they really needed to be sure, I guess. Now, investigators, they searched Dave's truck and they found even more incriminating evidence. They found dozens of pairs of women's underwear. They found naked photos of various prostitutes. And then, you guys, the kicker. They found a .38 caliber pistol. They finally found the murder weapon. But was it really the murder weapon? They still needed to be sure. So, ballistics experts performed a test on the gun where they shot the gun into like water, and the bullets from the gun matched the bullets found at both crime scenes. Finally, this was the evidence that prosecutors needed to get their conviction. Investigators later discovered that the gun wasn't registered to Dave Rogers. It was registered to the owner of a local diner. It just so happened that this local diner had been robbed, or they had had a break-in earlier on, and Dave was the responding officer when they called for help. Now, this had happened many years earlier. The pistol was kept behind the counter underneath the cash register, and Dave was actually the one that took the report and reported the pistol missing. But now investigators believe that Dave actually stole the pistol and then reported it as missing. Wow. Dave Rogers was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Dave's wife stayed by his side. She just found it difficult, I guess, to leave him. And she just found the whole thing difficult to believe. And I kind of understand that. I don't understand that. I lied. If anybody I knew did that, I would be out. Sorry, I don't understand that. I don't even know why I tried to be understanding to that. Now, at some point, Dave did admit to the murders. He claimed that he did it because of childhood trauma and that he had endured sexual abuse from his parents. Police were not able to corroborate that or prove that that actually happened, but that's what Dave told them. They gave Dave a psych evaluation because of the things that he was claiming and that, about his childhood trauma. So they did, want to evaluate that to see if possibly he was, had some sort of mental illness. I guess the defense was thinking maybe he could get off that way for to plead insanity or something. He revealed some pretty horrific details about his life, as well as why he killed the women and why he was doing what he was doing. He admitted to killing Tracy, but when they asked him about Kay, he told them that he didn't really say he did it. He just said, well, I don't know her and I don't remember her. I don't know who you're talking about, but if you say that I did it, if the evidence is there that I did it, then I did it, basically like that. But he never really straight up admitted to Kay's murder. He even kind of hinted to the fact that he wanted to be caught somehow because he knew that what he was doing was wrong and that he felt that he should get the death penalty instead of life in prison. It took the jury just 2 days to deliberate, and after just 2 days of deliberation, Dave Rogers was sentenced to death. That's right, you guys. He got the death penalty like he wanted. However, in 2019, the California Supreme Court voided his death sentence. They voided his death sentence because a witness for the prosecution recanted her testimony, saying that she wasn't sure that Dave Rogers was the one who had sexually assaulted her that time. Dave Rogers remains in San Quentin serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. What did you guys think about this case and my makeup look? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you like videos like these, you can check out my last episode. I'll leave a link on the screen right here or right here. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please share because it really helps me out. And I'll see you guys next week with another Forensic Friday, Saturday, or Sunday episode. Bye.